What's up everyone, Steven here from Techmaker Studio. This is building a decentralized Twitter clone with React.js and Aleph.im part 12. In the last episode, we pretty much talked through our style changes that we're going to make, and in this episode we're just going to dive in. And the first thing I want to do is install this Sas Tool, and this is going to allow us to actually write Sas instead of CSS. And if you don't know what that means, basically it's the same thing as CSS with some extra features, like we can declare variables and stuff so that we don't have to write the same hex codes all over the place, which makes it really nice if we would decide to change or tweak the colors a little bit. So let's go over to our code. I'm going to pull up this terminal here and stop this, and we're just going to do npm install Sas and let this run. I'm going to go ahead and stop the video. Okay, so now that's finished installing, and according to the docs over here, we can change the name to be .scss. So let's go to our app.css that we're using here. By the way, side point, something I kind of skip over, but you don't see me navigate the file tree too often. On a Mac, at least in VS Code, I'm hitting Command P, and then I'll just search for app.css. But what we're going to do here is actually rename this to be .scss. And you can see the little icon change to be the Sas logo over there. And then in our, is it app.js or index.js maybe? Instead of importing... maybe it is inside of app.js up here at the top, app.scss I think. And then let's npm start and just see if it's broken or not. It's always kind of the first thing. Let's not write any code. Let's just see if what we did worked for setting it up. And if it did, we'll be off to the races. Okay, let me give it a real refresh here, make sure that it loads correctly. Okay, cool. So it looks like it's working, so we should be good. All right, so what we want to do is let's go over to this new SCSS file. It's not a new file, but we don't need this body apparently. So in Sas, we can declare variables with a $sign. So we could do something like gray. And I don't really know if it's gray EY or AY, but let's go with EY. I don't know why that just sort of makes sense to me. And then we could say like darkest, and then that'll be some color. And then let's do like, you know what, let's do, I do like in the material design, they have like 4 will be the darkest, and then 3, I may not be doing that exactly right. It doesn't matter. We're kind of doing our own little theme here. And then maybe 1 is the base, something like that. And then if we come over here to the palette, let's copy that one, and let's say that is the darkest for now. Let's say this one is the next. And then for the others, so well, normally, maybe I need to do it down here like background color, and then we'll give it like a $. So yeah, here we go. So in VS Code, normally when you have a, maybe I actually don't need to put quotes around that. That's what that is. Here we go. This doesn't need a background color. I was trying to just put it somewhere where I knew it would work, but there we go. So no quotes here. So we'll go ahead and paste that in. And then what I want to do is essentially just kind of bring this up a bit. And you can kind of see like this is not scientific at all. But you can see here on as far as my scale, I've got 2, 3, 4. And then so maybe this one goes up into the 5s somewhere. And again, this not scientific at all, too much, 5 something. Okay, so here we go, 2, 3, 4, 5. We've got all our grays in there. Let's do teal 4, and then again, no quotes. So let me copy this and put a £, and there's no way this other one isn't teal 1 probably. It's just so bright. So let's paste that in there. And then I'm going to make a teal 3. We may not need all these. We may. I don't know. I'm just, from my experience, kind of putting a few things. We'll come back and see what we do or don't need. Okay, so let's just kind of, for 3, bring that up a little bit. That's kind of a tough one, actually. So where is this one on the spectrum? It's all the way at the top. Maybe actually what we can do is say that the 3 is the one in the theme, and so we'll make another one that's down 1, and then we'll make another one that's sort of in between. Something like that. So it looks like, so 00F, 00C, 00A, and let's make this one, let's bring this all the way over to the edge. Let's make it a pinch darker too. Okay, I don't know. Again, it's not scientific. I mean, it's eyeballing it. So F to C is sort of 2 levels, C to A is 2 levels, and then A to 8, maybe 2 levels, because I think it goes 9, 8 from here. Okay, cool. So next thing, let's go ahead and comment out the overlay here. And then let's, in our app.js, what do we have here? Just this div. Let's just comment that out for now. So let's go look at what we got now. So we have a white background. So let's do this. Let's say body, background color, and let's say gray 4, and let's make sure that this loads. All right, nice. So then the next thing that we're going to want to do is that the right color though? Looks like too light actually. It might just be because of the black on top of it. So let's go ahead and swap that in our card. Let's make this gray 3. All right, cool. So again, we're just going to kind of eyeball it from here, but I'm looking at those drop shadows, and they're kind of messing things up a little bit now. So let's go fix those. Let's just comment that out, and let's come have a look at what we have. Okay, so what I'm just kind of thinking off the bat is that this feels very like too light. Things aren't going to pop enough. And so what I'm going to do is pull this down. I'm going to just kind of shift everything down. Now imagine that we had variables all throughout. Like we've written very, very little CSS in here. But imagine that we have a theme where we have these colors are everywhere. The reason this is handy is we can come in and actually just kind of change them. Okay, so let's do that. Let's bring that down to the 2 region. Let's pull this. Let's leave those alone. Let's leave those alone for now. Okay, cool. So now that's getting closer to what I'm imagining. It's in terms of like dark light ratio. Let's maybe bring that up just a pinch. It's a little too close to black. There we go. Maybe it's a little, I mean, all this is just eyeballing it. I kind of like that. All right. So the next thing we want to do, I want to really bump up the border radius on the card. Let's try a border radius of like 15 pixels and see what that does. That looks pretty good. And then on our post, let's make this have a margin Y of 3, just to kind of spread it out a little more. I don't know, that may be too much. We'll go with it for now. I think that's looking cool. Okay, so in our code again, let's take a look at the what do we call the Nav Bar, which is over. So we don't actually, for now I'm just going to comment this out, but we don't need this to say Twitter clone up here, obviously. I want to get rid of this hello thing for the moment. We're kind of just ripping out a bunch of stuff that we've already built here, but that's okay. Okay, so let's see, where does that get us? So I'm going to put a similar margin on the top. Actually, let's do this. Let's come over to our nav bar here, and we're going to have to change the name of this component at some point because it's not going to be a nav bar. We'll do div class name equals card, and then we'll do div class name equals card body. Close that up. And then I'm going to move this create post button up in there. And we're going to start to see this come together a little bit more. So what I want to happen, obviously I want these things to kind of line up a little bit better on the top for now. They're not going to really line up because ultimately these scroll and they're independent, but the top should start kind of aligned. So we'll do MT3 and see what that does. So why do I have, I guess it's because I'm in a nav bar. And we're fixed to the top, which is kind of odd. What happens if I take this away and take this away? Just kind of playing around here now. Huh. Okay, so it doesn't like that for now. I'm not sure. Let's make that MT2. Okay, that actually lines it up bizarrely, pretty much perfectly. But I'm not sure we really want to do that. And then let's do ME3 just to try to add some space toward the end. ME is for margin end. Previously that would have been margin right, so you would have MR and ML for left, but now I think it's MS for start and ME for end. I think they changed that for flexbox reasons. But anyway, okay, so the next thing we want to do is fix our button to be a block button so that it expands to take up the whole space here. So you used to be able to say just like btn block, but Bootstrap has changed it now. So we'll come over here and just look at it directly. Wait, this is the old documentation. There's a newer version of Bootstrap 4. I don't want Bootstrap 4. Let's go to get bootstrap docs, content, nope, components, buttons, and then block. Let's do a quick search. Here we go on the menu. So I don't quite understand what's going on here, but that's probably just because I haven't read it. But what we need is dgrid gap 2. And what we're going to do is, let's put that in the create post button itself. We already have a div here, so that's handy. So dgrid gap 2, btn primary, and let's come look at that. Okay, so now it expands the whole way. All right, next up, let's make this have a specific ID here. Oh, let's just put it in the class, btn post. What happens if we just make this a btn lg? What does that look like? Okay, it looks better. Okay, so let's, instead of swapping that around with like a custom class, let's just do that. All right, so then, well, you know, actually, let's go ahead and do this. Let's make this a btn post. And then in our app.js, in our app SCSS now, Do we have any custom stuff? No. So there is a way to override all of the Bootstrap colors and stuff. And really, we should be doing that most likely. But for now, I'm just going to kind of like put it directly in here because we have so little CSS. We may come back to this. Okay, so if you look at this, teal 1 to me just looks too bright. Let's try teal 2 for the background color. And let's do and hover. So this is a cool thing you do in Sas, is normally you'd have to come down and do something like .btn primary :hover. You can do nesting in here, so this is maybe not the best place to learn just Sas straight up, but in any case, this is what we're going to do. So and hover here, we should make this background of teal 3. And now let's come look over here, post something, we hover, it gets darker. We have this horrible border though. Let's do border, none. Okay, now that's gone. You see how that's like, I don't know if it looks the same on your screen as mine, but that white font on there is just a little too hard to read. Like it's not quite right. Let's make this teal 3 and then teal 4. That's a little bit better. It still has a pretty nice pop. I think we'll go with that. Let's change the border radius to be like 20 pixels or something. Let's see what that looks like. I think I may want to go even more. 25 maybe. Yeah, I think that looks pretty good. It will look better when it's not the only thing sitting in this box. And we may come back to that and swap it out. I'm not sure. Let's try it with 15 and just see if it looks a little more uniform. You know what? Let's keep that for now. Let's change the font size because I think the font is a little big in there. I don't know what the size is by default, so. And then let's switch up the padding to be like 25 pixels, and then like, I never get this right the first time, which direction is which, so that's the wrong direction. We want more on the width than the height. And actually, you know, the thing is centered and taking up the entire width, so the left-right doesn't really matter. But I want more on the top-bottom, like that. Let's go ahead and bring our font in from Google. It's going to help kind of tighten this up. I'm not sure about this color right now, to be totally honest, but we can come back to that. All right, so we have that style. Let's remove 700 and let's add 600. And then view my selected families. Import is what I want. So I don't want this press start thing. I guess that's from a previous session. Dismiss maybe, press start. Let's remove that. All right, I'm just going to grab this. And let's go up to the top of our app, SCSS, and import that. And then font family, source sans pro. We're going to do this to set everything to that. We're going to just come in here into this. This is kind of, we wrote this quickly earlier, but this basically is just all the different areas where you could have type. And I think, you know, we probably need to add like tables and so on and so forth. But this is okay for us for the moment. Let's come look at what we've got now. I did not mean to take a screenshot. Hit the wrong button there. Okay, so this is looking better, I think. Cool. All right, so a couple of quick small changes. What I did here I think isn't quite right. This is really meant to be, the BTN primary is the color, the border is fine, the border radius. Some of this is this BTN post. So the font size and the padding and the, let's leave the board, let's do this too. Let's actually do .btn, and let's move the border radius into that, because any of our other buttons we want to be consistent. What I may do is add another class for like btn rounded, if we want something that looks a little bit more rounded than this. Okay, so last thing, and then I think I'm gonna have to stop, and we will end up probably spending, it seems like we're gonna end up spending this week of workshops doing the style on this, which some of you may not like, but honestly, I want this to be really cool, and attract potentially users and some attention and so on, to the channel. So I'm going to try to make this look as cool as we can, and we're going to do it together so that if you're interested in that topic, it's actually helpful to you. But this looks like junk. So let's see about what do we need to do to change the modal background color. Modal dialogue. Where I'm always getting myself confused on where the colors live. So the modal background, I think it might be the modal content is where the background color is. So if we set this to black, yeah. Okay, so I'm not 100% sure where we should set, or what color we should use here. Modal content, let's make it background color gray 4 for now. And then let's set the, so let's start with that. Okay, so that's what that looks like. We can see we have some style issues as we go to mobile there. But if we post something, so it really doesn't stand out very much. We're going to have to fix that. Let's see what we can do, though, as far as like the, what else do we need to do? Boy, that looks bad. I may need to think about this one off camera a little bit, because that doesn't look good. It could look worse for sure, but it doesn't look good. Let's try a gray 2. I don't know why I keep going to there. Okay, that looks less aggressively horrible. I feel like it needs to be a little bit darker, honestly. Let's go to modal content and then text area, and then do background color gray 3, and then color white like that. Man, the borders on all this stuff are awful. Border, none. And then I think that's the footer. If we look at the modal footer, border top. Okay, so what we want to do is, and this is a better example of nesting with Sas here, if you're not familiar. So we can say the text area that's inside of modal content just helps us write a little less code. So modal footer, border top, none. Or maybe border top, is this a thing? Border top color, and then do like gray. We're going to end up changing all this anyway. Gray 3 or something like that. Ooh, that needs to be important maybe. Okay, we're going to clean this up in the next episode, I think is what we're going to end up doing. Modal, border radius, let's do 15 pixels on this. I think that's not where the thing goes. I think it must be on the dialogue. Maybe not. Modal content. Yeah, maybe it's on the content. Modal content. Let's put that there. Okay. This looks not great, but we're going to fix it in the next episode. I'm going to do a little bit of like actual kind of design stuff off camera. We need a close button. we don't have anything that actually exits the modal. So there's no way out of this once we click on it. I don't hate it, but it doesn't look good, in my opinion. Let's make the text area have a border radius of 10 pixels here. Anyway, okay, cool. I think we're going to stop this here. I think we're getting like half an hour in. I think this is going to end up coming together and being a little bit more cohesive all around. But yeah, right now we're sort of still in the middle. So I think we'll probably have one, maybe two more episodes like this of kind of just kicking through this. And then once we get this totally ironed out this week, we should have a pretty solid kind of base design template going forward that we don't have to mess with too much. So yeah, this is going to be probably a little bit tedious for some people, interesting for other people, but in the end, this is going to look really cool. And if you want to kind of skip ahead to whatever the next episode is, obviously feel free. That's not a style episode. But yeah, so all that said, I hope you are enjoying this, and I will talk to you in the next episode.